this differently. Hello, everyone. Okay. Oh, that's not gonna work.
Peoria Riverfront Museum has a display. You called it a rock star on
Thank you
website.
for noticing that. We were just talking about that in the office, the effort I put into the headline of that
Peoria
story.
Riverfront Museum achieves rock star status with a geoed $1 million donation.
Yeah, it's called, it came from Uruguay. It's called, you stop laughing.
Like I said,
I can't give you the answer to your questions if you're laughing.
You did do, this is a valuable headline. Yes, that's accurate. Okay.
It's 10 feet tall. It's an amethyst geode. It came from Uruguay.
All right.
It's one of the 3 tallest such things in the world.
The photo of it's cool. I think people should go see this.
Yeah,
that's
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah.
It came about, and truthfully, I don't recall why John Morris with the Peoria Riverfront Museum said they were working on acquiring it, other than it was kind of a big deal in terms of.
I don't know. I feel like if you're a John Morris and a bunch of stuff crosses the desk, and you think about like what should I get at the Riverfront Museum next, and somebody says they've got a 10-foot tall rock. That would gain my attention.
A rock.
No, 10 feet tall with some sort of significance behind it. I'd be like, yeah, okay, that sounds awesome. Let's do that thing.
It's pretty spectacular.
I get the move, John.
It's actually, the backstory behind being able to get it much easier than they did was Doug Oberhelman, the former president and CEO of Caterpillar. Mm-hmm. He started out in the Caterpillar organization as a salesperson in the late 70s and early 80s, working in Uruguay.
See,
So he was very familiar with the story of the amethyst geode and how much of a big deal it is to that country. It's like in everything.
I knew that a story in Peoria talking about a rock would somehow involve Caterpillar. I knew that somehow we'd get there, so that does make sense.
It does seem, but doesn't it all come together?
It's kismet for sure. Go ahead.
So it's a pretty cool thing, and they unveiled it today. It's on display in the museum. There's actually another exhibit about rocks and minerals in the area where it's at right now. So I didn't see the whole thing, but it's pretty interesting. Although I would say you look at the picture, it says it's 10 foot tall, and while I don't usually take a tape measure to stories that I cover, I'm not sure it's really 10 foot tall.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's pretty close.
Right, listed at 10 feet is fine. I've talked about my basketball team that I was on before. It exaggerates just a tad, but it looks awesome. It does. I think it's 10 feet.
I
can measure it if you want.
No, I'll pass.
All right, good.
But we'll have to get a ladder, and nobody wants to
And what
deal
if
with
it's
that.
like 9 feet, 10 inches? Is that really going to matter all that much to us?
Not to me, no.
Right, there we go. I like that you also covered the fact that there was a $1 million donation.
That actually was the first of 2 big announcements they made today. The second was this $1 million donation from the Gilmore Foundation, named after another former Caterpillar president, Bob Gilmore. That
Who's going to get a competing rock for next year?
Probably.
That would be cool.
I would think so.
All right, good.
They're donating $1 million to the museum. In part, the head of the foundation sits on the Riverfront Museum's board, so there's a little serendipity there. But they're going to use some of it to as a sort of a dollar-for-dollar match for people who want to pony up $10,000 to the museum or more. And the rest of it will be used to bring in some, I guess, pretty big exhibits they're planning on doing, like T-Rex, a big exhibit that's currently only in one other place in the country right now on sharks.
Yeah, you wrote that there's one about sharks.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
That's going to be coming in a couple of years.
Cool.
And
I wonder if I can
a Titanic exhibit.
I wonder if I can punch one of them. I know that the sharks wouldn't be alive. I know
you know
that
how much money it costs to bring these exhibits here, and you're going to want to damage a museum exhibit on sharks?
You're right.
Just because
They're not going to. You're right. They're not going to.
You want to do what You want to do what Arthur Fonzarelli couldn't and actually jump the shark?
No, I just want to punch it. And that was the problem with Happy Days, is he didn't punch it. Because he was able to hit the machine and make it start all the time. You should never have jumped the shark on the motorcycle. Just punch it.
Yeah, but if he had punched it, that would have started the shark, because that's what happened to the jukebox.
Are you unfamiliar with me talking about this? I've talked about this with you before, that I'm pretty sure that if I were attacked by a shark, I'd survive.
I know, and I don't believe you.
Well, I'm pretty sure I would, because I know the secret. You punch it once in the nose and it immediately gives up. That's the whole thing.
I've watched enough years of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Craig, that I know that I don't even want to attempt that.
All right, well, I'm game once, I think. Probably only once. Either way.
I was going to say.
It's either going to work or not.
But if you punch a shark and it's successful, I have the exclusive interview with you when that happens.
Fantastic. I will exaggerate, though. I want you to know that.
That's good to know. I'll keep that in the back of my mind.
Even though I've punched a shark successfully in that world, I would still exaggerate, and it's going to get more and more massive every time I tell the story.
When I start calling BS and walking out of the interview in disgust, then you'll know what happened.
I can't wait for that. That'll be a really fun time.
No, they are, and again, this is the museum's 10th anniversary, so they've been announcing a bunch of big things here in the last couple of weeks. So.
The amount of stuff that they get there. It's amazing.
It really
the hustle is incredible.
And they have a lot of people that, between members of the community and guest curators, for example, and even on-staff curators of things, that they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, maybe one of the exhibits during the shark thing could be me standing on one platform and a shark on another one, and me faux punching it, and that could just be a thing. We could put that up. No, do you think?
Craig Cullen Shark Week.
It sounds great. All right, let's do this. 42% of us have never dressed up for Halloween. Are you?
That's depressing.
Are you someone who's dressed up before?
When I was a kid, yeah.
Beyond a kid, as an adult, have you dressed up?
Not as an adult.
All right, I feel like I knew
because I can't believe I'm doing this on Monday.
I wanted to bring that up.
I still have time to wuss out.
No, you don't.
Like I always do.
No, you don't. You can't do that. Even if it's just a little costume, you got to get something. You just got to be.
See what I can do.
I mean, at the absolute worst, and I know that the listeners would be very disappointed, since over 200 of them liked a photo or a post, on Facebook. Facebook.com/Craig Collins Show, in order to encourage you to dress up. If you want to do the Jim Halpert thing, just put like a name tag of someone else on it. You could go that road, but I know the listeners would be disappointed.
You know, I've seen a couple of costumes this year, like the Karen costume. There's a name tag that says, "Hello, my name is Karen" on it.
Which, if we do go as Greg and Dan, which of the two, who did you want to be?
That's a good question. I still, I can't really do it, but I would still like to go as Kelch.
Okay, you want to go as Caleb, and then I have to go as Greg Dan.
Yeah.
I have to go as both halves. The reason why I ask this is I told the guys this morning, I was on their show today instead of yesterday. I'm usually on Wednesdays at 8:40, but we shifted it to today. And I told them this was going to happen, and they seemed very, very happy about it. So I'm glad they're not going to be upset at all. But Greg had a tip for us.
They say they're not going to be upset, but they're going to be upset.
Greg had a tip for us, and this is something that people can go check out on a recent podcast of the Greg and Dan Show. Their podcast is an extension of their show, and they get looser and silly. They're silly on their regular show.
That's impossible.
I would recommend highly people check out the podcast, too. Apparently, and I'm looking at it right now in studio, there is a plastic fork in Dan DiOrio's area.
Oh, yeah, there sure is.
And the reason for the plastic fork, and Greg demands that this is part of the Dan DiOrio costume, is that Dan will put it on his head during the show. The plastic fork will interact with his hair. I don't know if it's actually truly his hair or not, but he does this often, and it came up recently on a podcast.
It seems like the sort of practical, resourceful thing a man like Dan would do, combing his hair with a fork.
Who needs a comb when you have a perfectly good plastic fork around? But I guess it came up on their show recently, and I should find the podcast and actually play it. But Dan just said it feels good. And what I love so much about that idea... No, hold on. What I love so much about that idea is I told my wife that during lunch today, and I was laughing about it because I thought it was kind of cool. And she goes, I bet it does feel good, like when you use that little spider thing. So, I don't know. If one of us does this, and I don't know if we want to use his fork or bring our own plastic fork around, maybe it's going to be a trend. Maybe everyone does the plastic fork thing, because it might feel great. Have you ever? No, I imagine the answer is no.
I've tried. Well, it doesn't really do much good for, the lack of hair on my head, but...
I think it's just running across your scalp that might be great about it.
I think just because it's mostly open real estate up there, it feels a little weird, but I like the idea of it.
Well, one of us is going to go as Dan, in, and when you see the photo online and we have a plastic fork in hand, it's now been explained on the air.
A big oversized fork to put on my head.
No, I'm convinced that he's right. The fact that Betty was so quick to be like, oh, Dan's right. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. No one should think this is silly.
Does this open up a potential amount of insight into your wife that you otherwise didn't know?
Yes, I had no idea that she was down for the plastic fork hairbrushing move. That is something I did not know about until recently. Although, again, as I said, it's just like the immediate connection. Because we have one of those little spider things.
Yeah.
And, like, it does. It's yeah, I don't know. But I just love the fact that Greg made a demand. If we do the costumes, one of us needs the plastic fork add-on.
Maybe I should just dress up in all green and be Steve the Plant.
Whoa, that's a great idea. No one's going to go as Steve the Plant.
But
That
I don't know
definitely makes sense.
I don't know how I make up the pot, though, that Steve the Plant is in.
Cardboard box? I feel like cardboard box
I
legs.
guess that could work.
Yeah, I think it could be great. All right,
That's more creativity than I have in my brain.
All right, you go as Steve the Plant, Betty goes as Caleb Couch, and I will go as Greg Dan, which is a combination of both of them. This Halloween's going to be amazing.
Do you have to do it like right down the middle vertically, or can you go like, like the top half is Greg and the bottom half is Dan?
I had not contemplated that.
I didn't think about that either until just now, because I always thought it was like a half and half.
I feel like the face is the most identifiable location for both gentlemen. I feel like just going bottom half of either guy.
Like half your face, though. That would be weird.
I have to, yeah. It's going to be challenging. All right, wonderful. I am so excited for Halloween.
We had this meeting.
Yeah, this is great. This happened.
I wonder if I can find a plant. What's the name of the costume place again you were telling me about?
Oh, the costume trunk?
Yeah, the costume trunk.
Yeah,
I wonder if they can help me out and make me look like Steve the Plant.
Honestly, if Steve, who's the owner of that establishment there, has a Steve the Plant costume, he really has everything. Quick break, a lot more.
Fantastic.
1470,
I'll just be more of my business for everything there.
Seriously, WMBD.
It's the Craig and Dan Show podcast.
Sophomore year, Coach Smith, Pekin High School.
Burpee?
He said, if you don't do them correctly, you're going to have to run the stairs the rest of the class. I did them perfectly. It didn't matter. He didn't like me. That was a long time ago. It's almost 50 years.
Still hold the
almost 50
grudge.
years ago, and I still have it. There's a theme here. That was Coach Smith. The bean story, where I got accused of flipping a bean to the ceiling, was Principal Smith. People named Smith don't like me.
Find out more at 1470WMBD.com.
Hi, I'm Lisa Booth for Bishop Gold Group. Are you worried about your financial future as retirement gets closer? All over the country, soon-to-be retirees are fearing for their financial future as markets remain volatile. Bishop Gold Group helps you invest in gold and gold IRAs to protect your wealth and retirement during times of high inflation and wild swings in the market. Secure your future today. Contact Bishop Gold Group by dialing pound 250 from a mobile phone and say the keyword Bishop Gold, or visit Bishop.
Petersburg on the Black 2018 Nissan Sedan.
Off.
Martin 13. The clean lead for a 41-year-old male lethargic.
insurance agent.
Numbers.
Confusing, but I can provide you with a variety of options to help you make the best choice for you and your family.
Wes Drew is a licensed agent, not connected with the Medicare program.
I'm Heather Ewell, owner of Standard Heating and Cooling. We have been setting the standard in comfort since 1939. What's our standard? Our employees answer every call, no matter the time. We'll work on your unit day or night. On our new system installations, we guarantee parts and labor for 10 years. We guarantee your satisfaction 100%. To experience the highest standard, call Standard Heating and Cooling 671-5417 or go to standardheat.com.
Got a
Got a newer crash. This is near Washington at Boyd Parkway in Nofsinger, a trouble spot. We're talking about 4 vehicles involved. First responders indicating there's no injuries at the scene. There's the good news, but it will slow you down a little bit there at Tazewell County. Again, Boyd Parkway at Nofsinger. Some newer pavement work on Galena Road, north of the Coinage Bridge to Gardner Lane. It's going to slow you both directions in that log jam on North Main Street near Marina Lane and East Peoria is all cleared up. 272-1813, the OSF Medical Group Traffic Spotter Hotline. At the Upton Automall Body Shop, repairs are guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. Get quality workmanship, a professional team, and even loaner cars by appointment at the Upton Automall Body Shop in East Peoria. I'm Cooper Betts, UptonAutoGroup.com Traffic One. Your WMD Storm Tracker forecast, partly sunny, a high of 58 for the rest of this afternoon. Cloudy, a low of 39 for the night. Sunny and 62 Friday, sunny 65 Saturday, 40% chance of showers, high of 60 on Sunday.
Sorry, Catherine fell out.
To beat with our prices, check out our website, MikeMurphyFord.com.
Tired of your bland workspace? Yeah, we don't like those either. That's why at Lincoln Office, our goal is to make your workspace better. How do we do that? Simple. We put our team of experts together to craft a unique workplace design, re-energizing and refreshing your space. Because after all, spaces matter. With over 80 years in the industry, we are your local design and furniture service. Whether you're a business, school, healthcare facility, or government agency, we can help. So, what are you waiting for? Visit LincolnOffice.com today.
It's a huge 40th anniversary sales event in the heart of Chevy.
crap.
Joe Knapp. For 40 years, Uptrade in Washington has been your trusted Chevy dealer. This month, we're celebrating with more new Chevys in stock and inbound.
That's right.
Boxes, Blazers, Malibus, and more. Stop in this month because we want your trade and we'll pay big money toward any new Chevy in stock or inbound. Plus, take a test drive and get a free 40th anniversary gift. It's been an incredible 40 years in the heart of Chevy country, thanks to you. Find new roads to Uptrade Chevy Washington today. UptradeChevy.com.
Here's Kelly Presley from Presley's Outdoors. At Presley's, we understand what it takes for a successful waterfowl. Presley's has the decoys, clothing, and firearms you need to bring home the leather. And don't forget the right hand shotgun shells from great brands like Federal, Heavy Shot, and Remington will ensure you bag that bird. Presley's has it in stock. Federal, Heavy Shot, and Remington, 3 of the top brands in waterfowl. And stop in for everything you need for your hunt at Presley's Outdoors in Bartlett.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business. Possibilities.
Internet security
About $3
per month for 12 months when you add mobile. Plus, get free installation and ask how to get a $500
5 minutes.
Until 11/6/2022.
If I have another call for you, Adam one.
New Comcast Business 250 megabit per second internet security edge of one voice line customers only. 2-year agreement required. Equipment taxes and other fees and subject to change. Mobile 90 days from internet install and keep all services for mobile discount. Comcast Business Mobile utilizes the network with the most robust 5G data reliability wins in 1H 2022. Results may vary. Awards not endorsement.
Grant, Lori. It's a third-party call. Robert Buchanan is having trouble with an unknown account. The property.
Will be denied this year. Why? Ransomware attacks cost businesses and insurance companies billions of dollars and are rampant. This increase in cybercrime means insurance providers are denying businesses who don't have security in place. If that's you, turn to the cybersecurity experts at Facet. We help businesses pass the insurance questionnaires with flying colors. We have the right set of cybersecurity.
Engine 10, Engine 1, 711 East Virginia Avenue, EMS cardiac arrest, code 1, cross street 2600 North Indiana Avenue, fire map 1011, Engine 10, Engine 1, 711 East Virginia Avenue.
2600 North Indiana, map 1011. A total call for a female found down, not breathing. The caller is unable to do CPR.
Copy.
So many do. Go to the Better Business Bureau's website and find companies that you can trust because the BBB is so good at figuring that out, so good at working with local companies.
Sam to be in the area of West 3rd and Armington Road. Caller reported that there was a deer that jumped over the side of the bed of his truck and is now currently dying in the back of his truck. He is just west of the intersection and a big work truck pulled out to the side of the road.
That quote can be for anything: car detailing, gutter cleaning, get a wedding venue, need a real estate agent, whatever it is that you need. So many things can be provided to you. Accredited businesses that will contact you directly. The BBB will make that first call to get in touch with them, give them your information, and those accredited businesses will reach out to help you with whatever it is that you're looking for help with. And also, finally, the Better Business Bureau is on top of scams, and so many scams that are going on. So if you want more information, if you want to check on if something that you've experienced recently is something that's going around, give them a call for that reason too. 309-688-5124. 309-688-5124. And then finally, follow them on social media, facebook.com/HOIBBB, or their Instagram, BBB Pekin Illinois. She just started, Jessica Tharp, the CEO, doing these sit-down interviews, and they're awesome. They look great, they sound great. Green Homes Illinois, I think, was one of the ones that they talked to just recently, but I think there's going to be more of those. So follow them on social media and watch those conversations, important conversations.
791 ride.
Thursday, October 27th.
7191 is clear, complete with no report, 1042.
Studios. Visit the heart of Chevy Country today from Chevy in Washington.
This is 1470 and 100.3 WMBD.
So pass those 3 please.
Who's the bigger threat? I'm Will Stevenson, knowing the U.S. national defense strategy and some of the
Department for the passenger center.
Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin talking about it to reporters today. Austin.
I'm working on it. It looks like it's around back in one of those buildings across from, I can't tell what it is, looks like a shatter or something. And I called back and left a message with no answer. 1716 Sterling status.
WMBD News is brought to you by Presley's Outdoors. Presley's Outdoors has everything for deer season.
Mary 1 status.
Okay, rescue's on scene.
Presley's Outdoors in Bartonville.
Copy, rescue on scene, extend.
As many as 4 at Lloyd Parkway in Nofsinger, a trouble spot in Washington. Watch out for that. Don't see it slowing traffic down too badly, and we don't have any serious injuries reported there. Got drivers reporting a problem West Ward Drive at University. Watch out for that. 272-1813. Let me know what you see out there on the OSF Medical Group Traffic Spotter Hotline. Well, winter will be here before you know it. Upgrade to a new Subaru with standard all-wheel drive at Upstream Subaru in East Peoria. Reserve your inbound Subaru today and drive home faster than you might think. Visit SubaruPeoria.com. I'm Cooper Banks, TradeAutoGroup.com Traffic 1. A Peoria man could go to trial for a 2020 murder as soon as mid-November, but before that, he'll face new charges, accusing him of attempting to assault a Peoria County Jail employee. Actually, more than one. A Peoria County grand jury this week charged 31-year-old Deterius Jordan with aggravated assault and aggravated battery. Jordan allegedly threw urine at one jail corrections employee and allegedly waved a sharp object at another, all on September 13. Jordan will be arraigned next Wednesday, less than 2 weeks prior to the scheduled trial on murder charges for the shooting of Kishana Curry. The case has been delayed multiple times as subpoenas are issued and motions are considered for. At 1470
proliferation of cannabis business throughout the community. Peoria elected leaders have put some policies in place but want more public input. There are questions about where to allow marijuana dispensaries, how many to allow, whether to allow marijuana consumption at the site of those dispensaries as well. We've posted a link to the survey and much more info about the upcoming in-person public input meetings at 1470WMBD.com. WMBD markets, Dow closed up 197 points, everything else down. The Nasdaq down 178, the S&P lower by 23. Crude oil closed up 97 cents at $88.88 a barrel. A little bit of a warmer day tomorrow on the WMBD Storm Tracker forecast next.
Mom, she won't stop touching me. Breakfast stinks.
Guys, no phones at the table.
Family dinner time? Not easy. But you know what is easy? OSF On-Call Urgent Care. When you need convenient, affordable care for minor illnesses and injuries, you need OSF On-Call Urgent Care. Be seated personally and connect 24/7 online. You need to learn more at osfoncall.org/urgent care.
Start a new career today with weekly pay and no warehouse experience necessary. SC2 is hiring now for all shifts. Earn $15 to $17 an hour and with 10 Central Illinois locations, there's an SC2 close to you with great benefits and opportunities to advance. An interviews are Monday through Thursday, 7 to 11 a.m. at 6409 West Smithfield Road in Burnsville.
Corey Smith is out there. He didn't throw a rock at any car, he said. He threw a rock across the street. I told him not to throw any more rocks. He also handed me a couple used needles that he found. I'm going to take these needles to the hospital and dispose of them.
One 22, also check 2729 on Joey Phelps. Over.
Beyond the usual controversial talk,
I personally think it's one of the top radio programs in the country.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
100.3 WMBD. It's the Craig Collins Show. First, before I get to anything else, I just wanted to mention this. Saw this popping up a bunch on social media. Springfield Clinic in Peoria on Allen, 9010 North Allen Road. This is next Friday, November 4th. We'll be doing a free skincare screening. Free skin cancer, screening. So this is something that, of course, in one way or another, cancer has impacted so many people. So it's very intelligent to be on top of and in front of any kind of screening. And this one being free, obviously, is even more valuable. Dr. Sylvia will be there offering the free professional skin exam on just that 4th. So if you can make it out, just letting people know about it from 8 o'clock to 5. That's what's going on. All right, it's our new segment. We are building a intro for this segment at some point, but it's the top 5 at 5. These are some of the biggest stories I've seen out there today. President Vladimir Putin said earlier today that the world faces the most dangerous decade since World War II. He said this because Western elites scrambled to prevent certain things going on there. He said that it's essentially the fault of countries like ours. He blasted the West, according to NBC News, for the dirty game that's going on. Of course, a lot of people don't have to care about the things he says. I'm not saying any of those things are accurate. It's scary. I'll say this about this story before moving on. When Putin himself ramps up any form of those sort of threats, whether or not it's just words or something else, because to envision a scenario in which there actually is a nuclear weapon used in Ukraine and the domino effect that is going to happen in that moment, that is terrifying. And so Putin is saying that we are in the most dangerous situation that we've been in decades, since World War II. Of course, a lot of people, including our country and a lot of people within it, would blame Putin for every aspect of this getting as far as it's gotten. But that is part of the news out there in the world, and one of the things he said today. Another story that I thought was interesting that's out there is a fairly big story outside of just Elon Musk continuing to reference why he bought the social media platform Twitter, saying how important it was to have a town square, an electronic one, that everyone can go to, and all opinions can be shared, and no one will feel any sort of threat of violence. That was in his mention, is the idea that if former President Donald Trump is allowed back on the platform, this is according to a couple different sources, there's several advertisers who say they would walk away from Twitter, which I think is somewhat insane. I gotta be honest about that. First and foremost, if former President Trump is to run again for the presidential office, to run to be the next president of our country, having him off of the social media platform essentially is that social media platform taking a political stance as to who they think should or shouldn't be elected as leader of our country, and that would be bad in and of itself. I know they're private companies. I know they can do whatever they want, essentially, but that is the antithesis of everything that Elon Musk was saying we need to do as far as those social media places are concerned. Whether you hate him or like him, if someone's running for the president of our country and them to not have access to a popular platform that other people have access to, in my world of media, just quickly, and I think a lot of people already know this, if we book, say, I had to do this after we booked Darren Bailey on the show. We have to send out some things that notify Governor Pritzker that he has the same access, equal time, to be on this platform for the same amount of time that Bailey was on it, because they're running for an office in our state. That's equal time. That's something that exists a lot of places. It's something that social media should have to abide by as well. So it's sort of crazy to think that so many companies, whoever they are, and I don't think a lot of that is actually out there, or how true this story even is, but a lot of companies said that they would step away from the platform entirely, and it would probably be temporary. I would say that too. If Twitter doesn't fold and a whole lot of people don't quit it, if Trump came back or any of the other things that people have said could happen, if all that doesn't matter, those advertisers would all return because they care most about selling their products. This is also out there in the news. I don't actually want to play the audio, but newly released Uvalde video shows officers discussing a need to confront the gunman. This is an ever-evolving story, I guess. It feels like we are so far from the awful thing that happened that day, and yet we're still learning more information. It's, I think, part of the reason why in so many situations, not just necessarily this one story, it makes sense for a lot of news organizations, people to wait, to give an amount of time for all this to be out there. But what is uniquely interesting, I guess, about this video, according to an NBC affiliate in San Antonio and a lot of others, is that you can hear the police officers talking about a concern of being shot while they're talking about a need to confront the gunman. And I do think, to an extent, from what I've seen in reaction to that, some are vilifying police officers. Of course, the police officers in Uvalde failed that day. Lots of people believe that, including, I think, a lot of law enforcement, for not going in and immediately confronting the gunman and stopping the horrible things that were happening as quickly as possible, and maybe even providing life-saving care to some of the victims. But I will say one thing, and it's not intent to be defense for the Uvalde police officers themselves, but just in general. I think all police officers probably have that conversation, the one about being concerned about getting shot. themselves. And that's human. That's why that job is so important, so valuable, one to be praised within our society, is that police officers are trained to, like anybody else, probably think about that, but then be willing to go ahead and risk that situation. But a lot of people are reacting to the audio, the newest video. Of course, there's been, as I said, ever-evolving stories there, and the Uvalde police definitely did fail that day. So I'm not, again, I want to just repeat that, trying to, in any way, shape, or form, explain away or forgive their behavior. But I do think there's some level of maybe just a naive reaction going on. When you get so mad hearing police officers talk about their concern of being shot themselves, that there's a huge component to the things that we ask police officers to do in our society. And we do need to understand that, while also praising those who do the job correctly. The St. Louis, a school shooting, that I did also see people were saying news media is hiding, and I am not myself personally trying to shy away from that story. A lot of things that happened there were the way that things are supposed to happen from the police department's response. How quickly they responded, I think it was 4 minutes, how quickly they subdued the shooter. But one other thing that I saw that I thought was interesting, outside of just the fact that in St. Louis, they were saying that maybe the story was getting hidden or whatnot, was also the fact that a gun was confiscated from that individual just days before. They were somehow capable of acquiring another gun and committing that crime. What I think is so interesting about that is sometimes when we talk about things like, say, gun bans or what's going on in Canada or restricting access to guns, those who really, truly want to commit evil, who want to do evil things, I think, may be able to get around any of those laws that were ever put in place to begin with. And I don't know exactly how the gun was acquired in the St. Louis shooting. And I don't think we have definitively who wants to do harm will probably go another route in order to try to acquire the things to do it. So I don't know if the lesson learned there is that there needs to be a different...
I don't know why that
gun control
person in that white car felt like she had to be way up my butt.
Just out there for the 5 every day on the show. Hijacked.
I don't know why they don't get pulled over for doing that. If I try to speed to get away from them, I get pulled over. It's happened too many times to me. Because it's very scary to have somebody on your bumper.
self-driving planes. This is something that's been going on a little bit in one way or another with Tesla for a while, but the U.S. Department of Justice has launched a